This is a part of an airplane. It is part of the wreckage of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which crashed on March 10, 2019, and it is sitting in a field in Bishoftu, Ethiopia. 157 people died. A few months earlier, another plane, Lion Air 610, had crashed in Indonesia, killing 189 people. The same plane was used for these two flights, the Boeing 737 MAX 8.
29, we're trying to clear a Wabbit on the one-way.
Roger, we'll hold short Southwest 599.
Dear friends and followers, welcome back to my channel. Although the 737 is now safe to fly after several modifications, this plane has caused a lot of trouble and its engine is the key to figuring out why. But this engine doesn't have any real problems. In fact, plane makers were rushing to add them onto their new models. That was the first sign of trouble. Airbus and Boeing are the two largest plane makers in the world, and they hate each other very much. If one can make a better plane than the other could lose a lot of money. In 2010, the same thing was about to happen. Airbus said that they were going to update their most popular model, the A320, which is a single-aisle plane used for many domestic flights. Most likely, you've been on one. Airbus did a lot of work to make this plane a lot better. The engine would be different. It was a lot bigger than the old engine, but it would help the plane use 15% less fuel. We'll talk about that in another video. And just as important, this upgrade wouldn't change the plane that much. A pilot could walk right into the new model and be on their way with very little extra training. It was called the Airbus A320 Neo, or new engine option, and airlines would save a lot of money by using it. Boeing had trouble with this. In order to compete with Airbus, it made sense for Boeing to improve the engine on their 737 single-aisle plane. There was one problem though. Here is a 737 and the A320 next to each other. Look at how low the 737 is to the ground compared to the A320. This meant that the Airbus could put a new engine under the A320's wing, but the 737 didn't really have much room under the wing. But a few months later, the head of product development at Boeing told them something big. We found a way to get a big enough engine under the wing, he said. The solution was to move the engine up on the wing so that it was a little bit higher and could fit on their 737s. Here's a commercial video showing that updated 737 flying. The top of the engine is actually higher than the wing. This model was called the 737 MAX by Boeing. And just like Airbus did with the A320, Boeing said that their new plane was so similar to the one that came before that pilots would only need a little training. The 737 MAX became the plane that people bought the most. It also helped Boeing catch up to Airbus. But on the 737, moving the engine up had a side effect. When the 737 MAX was at full power, like when it was on takeoff, the nose tended to point too far up. This would cause the plane to stall. This was a problem because these planes were supposed to act just like the old ones, so Boeing found a way around it. Instead of redesigning the whole plane, they put in a software that automatically pushed the nose of the aircraft down when the pilot flew the plane at too steep of an angle. It was called the MCAS system, which stands for Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. But Boeing didn't emphasize the new MCAS system because they were selling the 737 MAX. It's pretty much the same plane as the 737. Before their first flight, many pilots only had 2 hours to learn on how to use the new aircrafts with just an iPad training. And the MCAS software was not talked about in the training materials. In 2018, a number of American pilots told the government that the 737 MAX was suddenly nosing down. Lion Air Flight 610 left Jakarta on October 29, 2018. In the flight report, which shows that the plane's altitude over time, you can see that the plane was at full thrust during takeoff, but at a certain point, the plane's nose kept going down. The pilots had no idea why this was going on. The captain told the first officer to check the QRH, or the Quick Reference Handbook, which is available on all aircrafts. They couldn't figure out what to do. The pilots fought with the MCAS even more. The plane had trouble in the air. Reports show that it probably happened because the computer was getting bad data from the sensors, which pushed the plane down towards the ground. The plane crashed into the Java Sea 12 minutes after takeoff. The report on the Ethiopian crash shows that the pilots were able to turn off the MCAS as they were aware of it by now, but it was too late because the MCAS sensors were broken. Almost every 737 MAX 8 in service was stopped at the time, and the Federal Aviation Administration is getting a lot of attention on how quickly they certified the plane. Boeing's response was to update the software and make the MCAS less aggressive. They also said that they would train pilots more on how to turn it off. This problem started when one company tried to catch up to its competitor. It forced them to act like the new plane did the same things as their old plane, even when it wasn't true. That's it for today. If you have any more questions about the 737 MAX 8 or the new 737 MAX 10 or some other aviation related questions, ask in the comment sections below. Thank you very much. And here's your to-do list for today. Subscribe to my channel, check. Activate the notification bell, check. And follow my Instagram page, check. Also today hit the like button. Until next time, positive rate, gear up.